We just did a video, this one up here, on locking down your browser for 2026, because that's where your passwords live. Today, it's the computer itself, because that's where your whole life lives. And if your whole plan for the computer is, we've got antivirus, it's time for an updated plan. Antivirus first. Everybody's got it. And the way it works is very similar to the ticket counter in an airport. And once you see it that way, you'll see exactly who it lets through. And there's one number in this section that stopped even me for a second. Here's how the ticket counter works. You walk up, you hand over your passport, and an agent scans it, and somewhere in there, a computer checks your name against a no-fly list. If you're on the list, you're done. You're not getting past the counter, and you're not getting on a plane. And if you're not on the list, you're golden. Nobody looks in your bag. Nobody asks what you're planning to do once you're on board. That's antivirus. It looks at a file, it checks the fingerprint against a list of known bad guys, and if there's a match, it's blocked. And to be fair, the counters have gotten better. The one that comes free with every copy of Windows now, which is called Microsoft Defender, does look up from the passport every once in a while and go, that's strange.
Isn't that strange? Yeah, that's strange.
But it's still just a counter. It makes one call at one moment at the door. Now, most people think that the counter is the airport. They installed it, it's got the green check mark, it's doing its job. For 20 years, that was the job. Then CrowdStrike, one of the biggest security companies in the world, went back through everything that they caught in 2025, and 82% of the stuff that they caught had no malware in it. There was nothing to match because there was no bad file at all. The attacker signs in with a real password that they bought or they fished off of somebody, and then they use the tools that are already on the computer, the same ones that your staff use every day, to move around and to find what's worth taking. So it's a clean passport. It's not on any list, and it walks right past the counter, and the counter just goes. So keep your antivirus on. It's free, and it's built into Windows, and it still stops the stuff that's on the list, and there's a ton of stuff on that list. But that's only one layer, and the attack that's most common right now is the one that isn't carrying anything to catch. For that, you need something watching after you get to the counter, and that's where EDR comes in. Now, lots of you know, I hate acronyms. Our business is rife with them. But EDR stands for endpoint detection and response, so that's one more out of the way. Endpoint is just a fancy word for a computer, and detection and response are pretty self-explanatory. This is like the TSA screening, and there's a decent chance that you might be paying for it already and not know it. When EDR shows up on a quote from an IT company, and a lot of them charge extra for it instead of including it in their monthly package, but you might see something like Security Suite, and you might think to yourself, do I actually need this? Because nobody explains it. So let me take a run at it. At the ticket counter, nobody cared what was in your bag. At screening, nobody cares what your name is. They care whether you're carrying a machete.
Machete don't text.
You could be the nicest person in the world on nobody's list anywhere, and if there's a machete in your carry-on, you're not going to get through. They're looking at what's in the bag and trying to figure out what you plan to do with it. That's what EDR does. It watches what a file does. A Word document that opens and immediately tries to launch a command prompt and phone a server in another country, well, that's a machete and a carry-on, and EDR stops it even when that document was never on anybody's list. But the TSA is still just a checkpoint. You clear it once and you're done. EDR never clocks off. It's recording what every program on that machine does all day, and it keeps the tape. So when our friend with a clean passport signs in with a real password and starts poking around, EDR notices a regular account doing things that regular accounts don't do, at hours that regular accounts don't keep. And then the R, the response. It can yank that computer right off of the network mid-flight and from a distance, before the problem spreads to the next one. Speed matters here because CrowdStrike clocked that the average time from the first foothold into a network to hopping to a second machine is about 29 minutes. The fastest they saw was 27 seconds. EDR is so good because it keeps watching. All right, the part about the bill. If your business is on Microsoft 365 Business Premium, that's the plan that runs just under $30 Canadian a user per month, then you already own EDR. It's called Microsoft Defender for Business, and it comes inside a premium. So it's in your license. It doesn't do anything though until your computers get enrolled in it, which is a job for probably your IT people, but there's nothing to buy at least. If you're on Business Standard or Business Basic, you unfortunately don't have EDR. Business Standard did add some extra email link screening, but it doesn't have Defender for Business. You can, though, bolt Defender for Business on for about $4 a month per seat. Now, the other way to get EDR is something like what we run at Adaptive for all our clients, which is Huntress. Huntress is the screening layer on its own, and it sits on top of antivirus that comes free with Windows. As a little side bonus, it also manages that antivirus for you as part of the deal. Huntress will tell you themselves EDR builds on antivirus. It doesn't replace it. Right now, their list price works out to about $9 US per system per month, or $12 Canadian. And if you buy it through an IT company, there's no minimum seat count. So whichever way you go, one box or two layers, you're not paying for two antivirus. Okay, so you've got the X-ray up and running, the machete's gonna get caught, the tape is rolling, the computer can get pulled offline at any time. Are you done? Well, there's one question left that's actually gonna make sure that this whole thing runs. Who's watching the monitors at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night? And hey, if you're finding this helpful, take a minute to hit that subscribe button. Studies show that subscribers are more attractive and funnier at parties. So picture the screening lane with nobody standing at it. You've got the X-ray machine running and the belt is moving, and every so often a red light comes on and a buzzer goes, and the buzzer goes, and the buzzer goes. That's a lot of businesses with EDR. Somebody installs it, it's generating alerts, and the alerts land in a portal that gets opened about as often as the fire extinguisher gets checked. So in that case, the software did its job, but it's yelling into the void. And the people on the other side know this. Sophos went through 661 incidents last year, and 88% of the ransomware went off outside business hours. 88%. Nights, weekends, long weekends. The Friday of the August long weekend is actually a strategy. They're counting on nobody being at the screen for 3 days. In September of 2025, a US federal agency, a government agency with its own security team, got written up by CISA. And the finding was that they had EDR, it was running, the alerts just weren't being reviewed. And the attackers had sat inside for 3 weeks. 3 weeks with the alarms going off. And it gets sneakier. The first move for any attacker, the second they land on a machine, is to try to kill the EDR. Sophos traced one tool, a single tool, across at least 8 different ransomware gangs. And its whole job is to switch off security software. Defender, SentinelOne, Sophos, CrowdStrike, 14 different brands in total. Researchers have counted around 90 of these things in the wild. So the machete is getting found, and then the screening goes blank. And at that point, the only thing that matters is whether a human noticed the screen go black. So there's one more acronym, and it's one built for the business with no security staff. MDR, Managed Detection and Response. MDR is just people. It just means that the EDR has a room full of humans watching it around the clock, who hit the button when the buzzer goes, whatever hour it is, and whoever notices when a sensor stops reporting in. That's the piece that Huntress is really selling, by the way. The screening layer is the software. The $12 is for the people behind it. You can get the same arrangement with Defender for Business with one wrinkle. Microsoft's own monitoring service needs the bigger enterprise license, for now anyway, so it's not on the menu if you're on Business Premium. For most businesses, that means that the watching comes from a third party or whoever does your IT, or both. And that's the honest answer to to antivirus, EDR, or both. You need the counter, you need the screening, and you need somebody in the control room. The software is cheap and the people are what matters. So the question to ask your IT company this week, and I mean, like, ask it out loud. If one of our computers throws an alert at 2 a.m. on a Saturday, who sees it and what do they do about it? Last piece, and it's the one that shows up on a form once a year, your cyber insurance. Because whether or not you've decided you need all this, your insurer already has. If you've looked at your renewal application lately, there's a page of yes or no questions on it, and one of them reads something like, do you use endpoint detection and response product across your enterprise? Folks that haven't watched this video might be tempted to think, well, we've got antivirus, and just tick yes. I've read those forms. Beasley asks for it, Axis asks for it, and then Axis follows up with, is this monitored 24/7? QBE wants to know if it's on all your endpoints. That checkbox is the price of admission nowadays. And they do check after the fact when it counts. The city of Hamilton got hit in 2024, and they spent about $18 million cleaning it up. When they went to their insurer, the claim was just flat out denied. The policy said no coverage for a breach where missing multi-factor authentication was the root cause, and the city had told the insurer it wasn't compliant. Different control for sure, but the same lesson. The box that you ticked on the form turns into fine print the day the check is due. So here's what it all costs in Canadian dollars so you can have the conversation with whoever you need to have the conversation with. Business premium is $29.80 a user per month. Business standard is $19. The gap is under $11. And for that, you get EDR plus a pile of other things we've covered in other videos. Already on standard and don't want to move? Defender for Business by itself is $4.10. And if you want the humans to monitor all this, that's going to cost about $12 per system per month. Now, on the other side of the ledger, Coalition, a major cyber insurer, knocks up to 12.5% off the premium if your managed detection and response runs through them or one of the partners that they name. The cyber market is soft right now. We had a conversation last year with Derek May, the VP of Cyber for Hub Insurance. And the Canadian market rates have been coming down for a couple of years, but the discounts and the easy renewals go to the businesses that can answer yes on that checkbox. So keep the antivirus. It's free. Leave it on. Put EDR on every computer that you own. And before you buy anything, check whether or not it's in your Microsoft plan first. And then make sure there's a human on the other end of it, because a screening lane with nobody at the belt is a very expensive X-ray machine. If you want the bigger picture on why businesses your size are the target in the first place, we did a whole video on that, and it's right here. In this ever-changing IT landscape, be it active. See you next time.